Liberated, unapologetic, and done with toxic jobs. Listen, we are having a powerful conversation today with the creators of the Job Liberation Virtual Summit. This is the second annual conference they're putting on this year. And so there just comes a point in time when you are in your career, your corporate cozy career, right? And you're in the world of corporate America. And really, it comes a point in time where you might feel like, you know what? I recognize that this job is not only draining, but it's actually stealing my soul. And if that's where you are right now, sis, I want you to know that, first of all, you're in the right place, okay? And you are amongst women who really understand and get you. We've been there, done that, and we're never going back, okay? And that's why we're going to be showing up for you today to have this very powerful and much needed conversation. And by the way, on this channel, if you know me by now, you know, okay? We don't sugarcoat ish over here. So we're not going to sugarcoat the truth. We're not going to spin the toxic culture, work environment conversation. But what we are here to do is to speak truth, to share power, and to remind you that freedom is your absolute birthright, period. Okay. So if you are catching this in real time, by the way, drop hashtag live in the comments and let us know you're here. All right. And if you're watching this on the replay, hello to you there in the near or far future. Drop replay in the comments as well, okay? Because we want to acknowledge you and shout you out, not just for showing up for us to be a part of this discussion, very much needed discussion, by the way, but to show up for yourself, okay? So let us know where you're tuning in from and definitely show us some love. Now, before we get into the heart and soul of this conversation, and even before I have my incredible guests introduce themselves to you, I just want to quickly share how I came to know these two lovely ladies, right? How I connected with these beautiful Black queens. So, just to put some context and background around this, and this is gonna be a great segue leading into something I want to discuss later in the conversation, but I want to share this with you now. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of background story, early last year, I came across a video of with Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow. And in case you don't know these two, these are the co-creators, co-founders of the Exodus Summit, okay, which I at the time had never heard of. But I was looking for, really searching deeply for other women who were having these same conversations as me. And it was so refreshing to run across this video and hear other Black women, women that look like me, actually normalize having these conversations out loud around workplace experiences that were similar to my own. So, and like most of us, what had happened is I spiraled into like a whole new YouTube rabbit hole of other powerful Black women talking about toxic jobs, talking about freedom, and talking about healing. So that's how I found Dr. Kamani and Marissa, and they were speaking my language. This is my love language, okay? And I knew I had to connect. And so after that, Marissa and I did a collaboration, a YouTube collaboration, and we talked about how to heal from childhood bullying. And then and that was after Stephanie Perry's, we both, I think Dr. Kamani was there as well, but we all had taken Stephanie's YouTube challenge. And then we took her, what was it called? Pitching and Collaborations Workshop, which was really good. And so after that, I ended up going to an in-person event and meeting these ladies in person. And this was where Dr. Kamani hosted a birthday bash, really, and just to give these ladies, Rashida and Stephanie, their flowers, right? Not only to celebrate their life, but to celebrate all that they've done for their communities and like pioneering this discussion. So this is something that, I wanted to share with you because this is really about a movement, right? It's bigger than just me. It's bigger than Marissa Price. It's bigger than Dr. Kamani and Stephanie Perry, because there is something to be said about there being power in numbers. And there is something more to be said that when women get together, expect the unexpected, right? We are explosive. And so these are two phenomenal women who are leading voices in the job liberation movement, all right? And the host of the Job Liberation Virtual Summit 2025, specifically designed for Black women. So I want to welcome Dr. Kamani and Marissa, and I'm going to just have them each take a moment to introduce themselves and let you know a little bit about who they are and who they serve and how they support. All right? So whomever wants to go first, take it away.
Yeah. Dr. Kamani, you want to go first? Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Kamani. I am a licensed clinical psychologist of over 20 years. I'm also a toxic job survivor, but more importantly, I'm a toxic job liberator for Black women. I'm also the co host with Marissa Price of the second annual Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women coming up May 16th. So I'm so excited to be here to talk about ways that we can liberate ourselves as Black women, and part of that liberation is the mental liberation, right? The enslavement of us thinking that we have to stay at toxic jobs.
Yeah. And I'm Marissa Price. I am a social worker. I'm a freelancer now, a freelance coach too. But I am also a healing and liberation coach for Black women transitioning out of toxic work environments, trying to reclaim our self confidence, our self worth, because we know, like in these job environments, right, it can try to steal the light from us. And so, how can you liberate yourself from that environment, even if you're out of it, right? Like Dr. Kamani said, liberate your mind from feeling like you have to enter back into anything like that ever again, reclaiming your power, restoring your faith often. And yeah, just rebuilding yourself. So that's the mission of my channel, Marissa Price Heals, creating safe spaces for Black women to share our experiences, resources, knowledge with each other as we are all on this collective journey of liberating ourselves.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you both so much. So I thought we just start from really, I guess the first question I have for you is like, what made you decide that enough was enough, right? Like, why Job Liberation Summit? Why is now so important? And I know the both of you are on your own healing journey, as am I. I have been for quite some years, right? From on a healing journey, like a holistic healing journey, I like to call it, because not just from a toxic job, but from some other personal issues as well that kind of spiraled out of control, and it was a domino effect, right? And I still have some of those lingering issues now. So I know the two of you do a lot of talking to women across the spectrum in all sorts of industries, right? You're doing a lot of interviewing on your channels. And so, what is it that you see happening with Black women as a whole, right, collectively, with regard to toxic work cultures, and like what's the conversation like been like, and why does this bring you to doing the Job Liberation Summit at this present time?
Mm. Most of my clients are Black women. So my therapy clients, my coaching clients, are Black women. And it is absolutely amazing that the same things that I've experienced when I was at a toxic job, they're experiencing now. And I have
Mhm.
personally experienced how a toxic job can almost break you, break your spirit, break your soul, to the point where you're questioning yourself and you're starting to get really, really, really sick. So what I've noticed is that a lot of my clients are high performing Black women, and we go into these workplaces and we perform very well, and we don't understand why we're receiving such negative treatment. So we start self-assessing and say, oh, well, what am I doing wrong, right? And self-assessment
Mhm.
is always very important, but it gets to a point where we have self-assessed, we've reality tests with other people, and we keep realizing that people are coming for us in the workplace, but it
Yeah.
doesn't make logical sense. So because we're often so high performing in the workplace, and we're so mission driven and dedicated to the job, we start thinking and saying, wait a minute, it must be me. It must be me. So then we start self gaslighting ourselves, right? The job is like,
Mhm.
oh, that's your perception, or oh, no, 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 that's not really true. And so then we're caught up in this gaslighting. Then we self gaslight ourselves. And then we're so committed to the work, we try to make logical sense out of what's happening to us. And it's not going
Mhm.
to make logical sense, right? So we're thinking, wait a minute, I'm high performing. I get great job evaluations. I'm being sought out to do all these different duties. Why would they be treating me this way? Right.
Right.
So now we start going down rabbit holes, trying to get clarity from people, trying to have meetings, trying to fix different situations. But what we don't understand is that we're logically trying to understand something that is illogical. You cannot
Mhm.
understand racism, sexism, okay, that's permeating all of our systems. You also cannot logically understand the deep seated insecurity that many people in the workplace experience when they encounter us. So on the one level, they want us in terms of our brilliance and our
Yep.
dedication. They want that. They want to exploit it. But then we get a little bit too much, right? Or if we get a
Oh
little bit
yeah.
too much shine, then that's too much. That's too much. And
Mhm.
they try to put us in our place. So I think a lot of Black women experience that dynamic in the workplace. but we don't have a name for it. We often think we're alone. Oh, it must be me. I'm the only one. No, you're not, sis. You're not. And so that's why I'm so vocal on my YouTube channel, which is Lifting As We Climb Consulting Wellness Services, to talk about this because I want Black women to see, not only from me, but from many, many, many Black women, it's the same dynamic. And so Marissa and I met through YouTube, which is amazing. So we met through YouTube. She was watching my videos, and one day she was saying she was a VA. I needed a VA. Reached out to her, and we formed a partnership. And from that partnership, I'm all about supporting growth for people. So Marissa was like, I'm no longer available to do VA services. I want to do other things. I was like, okay, I want to support you in whatever you want to do. And so we started collaborating together. And it was actually Marissa's idea for the summit. So she came up with the idea for the summit. So I would love for her to share what her motivation was for the idea.
Yeah, I think being a toxic job survivor, both of us, Dr. Kamani and I, just having like the resources, knowledge, information in one place, I think is so helpful. Because when you're in a very toxic, traumatic experience, and Dr. Kamani has shared before, like there are parts of your brain that are not functioning at full capacity when you're being traumatized day after day. And trying to cobble together resources or like make an exit plan by yourself in isolation can be just overwhelming. Like the prospect of that, like where do I even begin? And so like being inspired by Exodus Summit, as you mentioned, having all the resources in one place to travel, move abroad, take a career break, as Rashida and Stephanie share. I'm like, what if we took that inspiration and used it for Black women who are in toxic job environments, jobs that are not serving them, and they don't really have a pathway out, but they know like they're not here to be harmed, right? Because we have these bodily feelings that pop up. Like I know for me, like the rush of anger in my chest that I used to feel in that job, the insomnia often, changes in appetite, these physical symptoms that our bodies are telling us, this is a toxic environment that you need to leave, right, as soon as you can. But we have been socialized to ignore those signals so often and suppress them and just keep going, right? Because the job is supposed to be our life. And as Dr. Kamani mentioned, like as high performing individuals, so often we excel, we exceed expectations. And so like our validation is so often told to us as outside of ourselves. And so trying to like detach your identity from a toxic job can be a very like difficult experience. And that's the point of the summit, right? To try to detach that on your timeline so that you see yourself as a whole person, no matter what title, what role you hold, no matter what position you're in. You were a person before you entered into this job, and you deserve all the best that life has to offer, right? No matter what people are trying to tell you in these toxic, traumatic environments.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can add a few things too. Is that for us as Black women to know that all of us, when we get these jobs, again, high performing. So we have a lot of skills, talents, credentials, education, all those things before we got to the job. So part of the mindset, the mental liberation is saying to ourselves, wait a minute, if I got that job, there's other ways I can make money. It's not the only place where I can make money. The other thing is we have to recognize that fear is a huge issue that keeps many of us in these toxic jobs. That is what happened to me. It took me years I knew years ago I didn't want to be there, but it took me years to get the courage up to leave because in my mind, it was, if I leave this job, what am I going to do to replace my income? So that's when the Job Liberation Summit was created as a way, as Marissa said, to provide all the resources for Black women about liberation. It's not just about, I'm out of here, right? Because most of us can't just up and just leave a job. And let's be clear, nobody is saying, just up and leave that job, girl, it's going to be okay. That's not what we're saying to you, unless you're in immediate danger, physically and or psychologically. What we're saying with the summit is come to the summit, no matter where you are. You could be, I can't stand this job, or you know what, I'm outgrown this job, or you've been laid off unexpectedly. So it's for all Black women so that we have the resources available to us to pivot no matter what's happening. In this world right now, many of us want to stay put, right? We want to, oh my God, I'm scared, want to stay put because there's so much chaos and confusion. However, what we do need to recognize is that we need plan A, B, C, and D ready. And so that's what the summit provides us, is the how to, learning from all these brilliant Black women about how to effectively pivot from a job. Again, you've outgrown it, it's toxic, you've been laid off. all those different ways. And just want to say also, as a privacy consideration, because I know as Black women, we don't want people in our business, that none of the participants will be seen on camera. So none of the attendants would be seen on camera. Their names won't be listed. Only the speakers will be seen on camera.
Oh, that's good to know. And, you all have touched on a lot of, like really valid points, right? And I really want to get to the conversation of like normalizing the grief, right? Normalizing the burnout, normalizing the commonalities that we experience as far as we thinking we are the common denominator, right? And then the identity loss as we actually are considering leaving the jobs. Like we know we don't want to be there. We know we're ready for something more. We know we need to get out of this toxic situation. We know we are experiencing real physical ailments and things that are impacting us negatively, right? It's an all-consuming experience. We take that home after we've experienced it at work, and then our families are dealing with it. Like it's the whole thing, right? Black women, though, specifically, tend to be really, really afraid to walk away. You alluded to this, Dr. Kamani, like you knew you weren't supposed to be there. You were ready to leave, but you took a long time to finally walk out the door, right? Most times because it's familiar territory, right? It's a steady paycheck. We're looking for that stability. We're looking for that false sense of job security because that's gone are the days, right? And we're afraid to walk into unknown territory, right? There are a lot of uncertainties around leaving. And so even though burnout is real, even though we have all of these toxicities that are, we are experiencing in our bodies that's accumulating, right? And even though we're having these secondary issues as a result of staying, women, Black women, still choose to stay, still choose to fight it out, right? Still, even at the detriment of their health, healing, and happiness. And so, and oftentimes we even allow ourselves to allow a job to define us. And so I believe the grievance period typically starts around just the mere thought of, oh my God, am I going to really cut the corporate ties, right? Am I going to really leave corporate America? What am I going to do after the fact? And they start to have these, like draw these false conclusions about all of these negative consequences. They tell themselves a story that hasn't happened yet about the what if factor, right? What if I don't make it? What am I going to do afterwards? What are people going to think about me? What if my family doesn't support my leaving? What if I can't find a better job? What if the benefits and the pay and all the things? And so they stay and things get worse before they get better. They never get better, actually, right? But they have all these thoughts as a result of making making the decision to actually step out, right? I'd like to talk about what was hard for you when you actually did make the decision to walk away, and then what does life look like for you on the other side of that? Like, because there is truth and transformation, and not oftentimes do women think about, or maybe they envision what that could be for them, but because they've never touched that part of life, right? They've never experienced it, and they don't necessarily have other women who have actually gone through this process of leaving, and to talk to someone who knows what that looks like and feels like. This would be a great opportunity for the women that we're talking to now to hear what that experience has been for the both of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was a period, of detaching my identity, as you mentioned, because I had put so much effort, so much time, so much education into this path that I thought was just going to be the path that I was on until I retired, really. And then coming into a toxic work environment that didn't start off as toxic. So this is the case for a lot of our jobs, right? Which can lead to the confusion because it didn't start off the way that it ended, right? It was like, I thought it was my dream job, all these things, the terms that we hear that I'm questioning, right? What really is a dream job, but that's an aside. But yeah, it was really confusing, that process of coming to the truth of what I was in. And I think being in community was so essential for me to understand that. As Dr. Kamani mentioned, like being in her chats and hearing from other Black women sharing their stories, right? At the time, I had thought that it was just me in the world experiencing what I was experiencing in the job that I was in. Now I know that it was from pet to threat. coined by Dr. Keisha Thomas, Dr. Rosemary Phelps, Dr. Juanita Johnson Bailey, 3 Black women professors who have given us language for what so many of us have experienced in the workplace when we come in with so many skills, so many talents, so many gifts, right? And it doesn't start off as toxic, but then over time, as you start to showcase your abilities, as you start to voice your opinions, that people often ask for too, which is even more confusing. They don't want to hear it, right? Because it makes them insecure. It kind of reflects back to them what they may be lacking. And so they try to take you down little by little. And it's a process of like whittling away your self-esteem. And so once you're able to recognize that, I think that's huge.
Mhm.
And so the exit process or the exit planning process probably took about a year for me to move through the fear. Therapy was essential in that. Community on YouTube was essential. I was in a coaching program as well for Black women. And then, yeah, transitioning into freelancing after that
Mhm.
year, starting as a virtual assistant. So within that year, I got my plan together, right? My clientele, who I was going to serve as a VA, knowing that that would give me the income stream to be able to move abroad, which was also one of my goals. So yeah, becoming a freelancer and just at the end of last year, transitioning into coaching, picking back up my skill set
Mhm.
as a social worker, working with Black women who are also healing from highly traumatic work experiences. So on the other side, my life is living abroad in Guadalajara, Mexico, which I never knew was possible for me. Thank you to Exit Summit again. And just being able to work with clients who actually value my work and who I don't have to perform for, I don't have to put the mask on for.
Yep.
And all of these things are possible as you move through fear and give yourself the time, compassion, and get into community with other people who are doing it, which is the purpose of the virtual summit.
Mhm. I love that.
And
Dr. Kamani?
I just added a quote from Stephanie Perry as Marissa was talking. I don't dream of labor. So we have to be
Right?
mindful as Black women that a job is what, and it's another quote from Stephanie Perry, a job is what we do to make money. It is not who we are. And I just want
Mhm.
to briefly share my testimony is that the job in some way defined who I was. So I was
Mhm.
such a passionate advocate for Black students. I used to work for a school district, the second largest school district in the nation, and I was fiercely about Black students. So they will talk about all. So I'm like, okay, what about the Black students? What about the Black students? And so I walked into this identity of being the Harriet Tubman at the job. So I would call myself Harriet Tubman, and other people called me the Harriet Tubman because they knew if I was going to talk about students, I was going to ask about the Black students. So I embraced that identity, right? So I
Mhm.
embraced the identity of, okay, I'm gonna have to go on the Underground Railroad to advocate for Black students. And I was about it. I was about it.
Right?
And then
Okay.
it got to the point where I became the Harriet Tubman of the staff and family, Black staff, Black families. So I was so holding on to that identity that made me into fight mode, right? I'm gonna fight these fools. Like, how are you not gonna be here for the Black students, right?
Mhm.
But not recognizing that I was being harmed in the process. They were doing everything they could to prevent me from doing that work, and they were coming for me. So they were attacking me and demeaning me and trying to put me in my place. But as my Black woman therapist said to me, they can never put you in your place because they don't know what God has envisioned for you, right?
That's right.
There's something
Yeah.
bigger and better than this place, okay?
Mhm.
That's why therapy is so important because you have somebody who can reality test with you. No, it's not you. No,
Right.
it's those people. No, it's time to go because that's places
Mhm.
you. No, I see something bigger and better for you. So she saw something in me that I didn't see for myself because I'm so busy fighting with some fools. So
Right?
I remember a Black woman made a quote about, and I don't know if she coined it, but she said, "Egos don't play with chickens," right? It's like your ego, these are chickens. Like you need to recognize, you need to stop playing with these fools, okay?
Right.
Being able to recognize that. And when I was talking to her and also having a really good community of Black women sister friends, also my immediate family, everybody around me was seeing what was happening to me. They were seeing I was being harmed. Like you said, my family was being impacted because they saw I was
Mhm.
being harmed and that impacted them.
Yeah.
And so it got to the point where I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And with my therapist, I was like, okay, I need to take a leave of absence. So when I took that leave of absence, I was like, my priority, I love the kids that I work with, but I love my kids more. Okay. I
Mhm.
love my kids more. I love myself. I love my family more.
Right.
than trying to fight something that will be a losing battle. So I'm continuing to be harmed trying to fight. So when I took that leave of absence, continued with therapy, started working with Black women coaches. One of the Black women coaches that I work with was Dr. Roche Brown. She's a financial psychologist, Black woman. She's one of the summit speakers for one of the bonus speakers. So I was like, okay, what's keeping me at that job? The fear of the finances. Okay, I need to get a handle on that. So I work with her to get my financial exit plan together. And then I started replacing my income. So once I started replacing my income and I'm working with her, and she's like, girl, you can leave, like literally, you can leave financially. And in fact, if you go back, you're losing money. I was like, oh, okay, okay. So when she told me that, they gave me more permission, but the fear is what kept me from making that final step. I couldn't do it, right? And I kept beating myself up like, girl, just quit, just quit, just quit. I couldn't do it because I was terrified. Even though the money said I could replace my income, right? Check, that was done. I knew there was other ways, but I was able to find other ways to deal with my retirement and my health insurance. All that was taken out, but the fear kept me, right? Until that one day, that one fateful day that I was in the shower, taking a shower, right? I heard the voice of God say to me, if you go back to that job, it's a death sentence. I heard it as clear as day. It was like, I've never had that experience before. I got out of the shower, I got dressed, I resigned effective immediately. Okay. I called out all the workplace bullies and her minions and all the shady stuff that happened to me. Now, keep in mind, I was working for a mental health unit. Okay. So these were mental health professionals who were doing this to me. I wrote the resignation. I am resigning effective immediately because of the psychological harm due to the workplace, right? Called out, boom. Once I did that, I felt so liberated. I literally did a video on YouTube to Beyonce's You Won't Break My Soul. I felt so liberated that I reclaimed my power back. And so from that, again, I tell my story because I don't feel like I am so different than most Black women. I really don't. And I was talking to Marissa yesterday because we were interviewed by Black Sit Global. And Krishan said, you know, I want to commend you both for doing this work. And you guys are liberating other Black women because of your story and your trauma. And when she was talking, I had a surreal moment. Like, I cannot believe that this is me. Like, if somebody would have told me 3 to 4 years ago that I would have left my job, I would have had multiple streams of income, I would be on YouTube. I would be co-hosting a job liberation virtual summit for Black women. I would be like, who are you talking about? Not me. But you know what I'm saying? Like that, this is what other people saw in me that I couldn't get myself because I was so busy fighting. And so we have to recognize that when it's time to go, it's time to go. The fear is going to be there. The fear is going to be there. Don't let the fear stop you. Let the fear help inform you. Okay, let's get your stuff together, right? Get your exit plan together. Let's get that together. But don't delude yourself in saying, well, if I feel the fear, I need to stay. The other thing I want to say is we have to be mindful of Black women. It's Black women who we tell our business to. If there's people around you who might care about you, but they're telling you to stay in an environment that's harming you, you need to really check your circle and have boundaries. Do not make your decision about an environment that's harming you because you're the only one who has to live your life. Do not let other people's fears project it onto you to the point where you're staying in an environment that will continue. It's not going to get better. If it is, it's not going to get better. It might stay the same, but more than likely it's going to get worse.
And it's an uphill losing battle. You know, the reality is, you know, we try to stay and say we're going to fight it out. We're not going to let them run us out of here and that, all of that, right? The bottom line is the longer you stay, the more toxic you become. You start to absorb that energy. You know what I mean? What you're fighting against is a broken system, right?
It is
the game is rigged and the rules are raggedy. Okay. You are never going to win. Okay. Because they designed the system that way. So the sooner you can get out, the better. And the sooner you can start to heal. And you cannot heal in an environment that is constantly hurting you.
Absolutely.
Right? And so
to really leave on your own terms, right?
Yes.
We Black women have been bought into the lie that yes, we are strong Black women because we've had to be. Okay. We've had to be. But the part about I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to make you respect me, and I'm going to make you do all these things. They're never going to respect you.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you sacrificing your life and losing? You're not going to win anything. And so we have
Right.
to prioritize ourselves and say, wait a minute, this is not them running me out of here. This is not me losing something, or, I deserve this. You deserve a better life outside of this job. So let's
Absolutely.
prioritize that our life is more than our job. So we have to
Absolutely.
really address those mindset hurdles that kind of
Mm-hmm.
keep us in a toxic job, and really be open to looking at what are the resources available to me that maybe I don't want to leave immediately. Maybe I don't want to leave this year. But how do you have the resources ready so that once you're ready to bounce, you can bounce and do well?
Right, because you know what, like you said, leave on your terms. At least
Yes.
be prepared so that even if they were to give you your walking papers, you can be like, deuces, I'm up out of here because I already got my plan in place.
Right.
So you got to get your game plan, your A game on, and your A game should be your plan B, C, D. You know what I
True.
mean? Like,
True.
your plan B need to be your plan A, your plan C need to be your plan. Like, the plan is the plan is the plan.
Constantly pivoting. Constantly pivoting. Yes.
Right. For sure. And then I saw Marissa put, I love this quote by Stephanie Perry. So put your fear in the passenger seat. I love that.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
another
So
quote from Stephanie too. I know we giving Stephanie her powers.
I know, right?
Yes.
Stephanie, where you
We
at,
talking
girl?
about classified YouTube challenge, all that stuff, right? But
Right.
Stephanie, I mean, literally, like the way she's living her life is
Mm-hmm.
showing Black women there's another way. Something else I remember her saying was that the toxicity in a job, toxicity is a poison. It comes through your system. It is no
Mm-hmm.
way to protect yourselves from the toxicity. So there's a cost involved, right? So if you choose
Absolutely.
to stay at a toxic job that you know is toxic, okay, that toxicity is going to impact you on some level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's a great segue, actually leading into what I want to talk about next. Now, before we get any deeper into this discussion, I just want to take a quick second for those who don't know me, right? Because I am on several platforms right now, and I know that some of you are new to me and some of you are true to me. So welcome or welcome back to my channel. Let me go ahead and let you know, Catrina Marie here. Hey there. Also known as the Boss Chick Biz Coach and your fearless leader, of course. Listen, I am a holistic business coach and an RN health and wellness educator, and I have spent the last nearly decade, okay, helping high achieving women walk away from stress filled careers, okay, and step into lives and businesses that align with their soul, their purpose, and their peace. And so I'm so honored to be one of the featured speakers at the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women this year. And I'm going to be talking about toxicity, right? I'm going to be talking about liberation and longevity and ensuring wellness beyond a toxic work environment, because at the end of the day, and truth be told, it's not just about quitting your job or just walking away from corporate America or cutting ties, right? Or as I say, cutting the corporate cord. It's about staying well. It's about reclaiming your power. It is about rebuilding your energy, right? And designing the life you dream of so that you can live the life you love. So if you are feeling depleted or disrespected, or disconnected from your purpose, then this conversation is definitely for you. And we spoke earlier, I think each of us really touched on community. And I really want to dive a little bit deeper into community collaboration and sisterhood, because as I alluded to earlier in sharing my story as to how I even connected with these beautiful women that I have in front of you today, by us getting together and making that connection and congregating in sisterhood, right? Community is everything. It is everything. And it has opened the doors up for all three of us, me, Marissa, and Dr. Kamani. We did not meet through coincidence, okay? We met through connection. And I want women who are watching this, whether you're catching this live or on the replay, I want you to know that you don't have to walk in this journey alone. Okay, that's the beautiful thing about this entire experience and this movement that's being created. And I want you to feel the energy that we are exuding and absorb that. Okay, because you're there at that job, absorbing that toxic energy. Let us pour into you, right? This is a powerful community, right? This is a powerful movement. And especially when a room is filled with beautiful Black queens, okay? and we are all on the same journey, a liberation journey, it is freeing and it is unmatched. So I want to kind of switch gears and lead into the conversation about what makes this summit so different. Like, what can attendees actually expect from the Job Liberation Virtual Summit?
Yeah, so I think community is the biggest aspect, as you just mentioned. Last year, we had 300 plus Black women attend globally. So we know that this is a global issue, right? A pattern of mistreatment that we are experiencing in the workplace due to systemic racism, sexism, right? And all the other intersections of our identities that really inform our experiences in the workplace. And so to be in a space where other people have had similar experiences, they're on their individual journey of making their exit plan, their healing from the toxicity, it's really powerful, right? Just to have that, like, people behind you, knowing that you're not alone in doing this, know you're not making it up. And I've done a number of videos about this on my channel, just because that was my experience, right? Encountering toxicity in the workplace and then immediately going in towards myself. Like, what is wrong with me? How can I fix myself? How can I contort myself to fit better in this environment? Not realizing that it was the environment that was toxic and I needed to extract myself from that. So to be able to, like, reflect back to each other that it's not you, right? To resist the self-gaslighting, that makes it special, as well as the privacy concerns. So no attendees will be on camera. We wanted to make sure that was possible. And then, only the speakers will be on camera, and you'll also have the option to change your name if you want to attend completely anonymously, because surveillance, right, in toxic jobs is very real. Community, sisterhood. We have so many Black women from all different areas sharing their knowledge. We have 10 speakers on the Saturday and Sunday of the summit. And then the Friday will be Coach Yolanda, who actually helped me process what I was going through in the toxic job that I was in. And so she'll be kicking it off with internal freedom first, which is very important before we even start planning or start reclaiming ourselves. How can you grant yourself freedom internally and know that you are here to be liberated, right? You're here to live a liberated life, no matter what the messages we receive.
I love that.
I mean, learning from so many Black women who've all gone through the same experience. So what we've experienced, again, Marissa said, we had over 300 Black women in attendance last year. And to be in like a healing space with so many Black women who have a similar reality, so you know you're not alone, and you may be coming in broken. A lot of the Black women who came to the summit last year talked about feeling defeated, feeling broken. And once they left, I mean, even the chat was like on fire, right? Like, right? It was like a community church, right? Just feeding our souls, but feeling so empowered, so that once you leave the summit, and we'll have other testimonials about people talking about what's happened to them since they've left the summit, but Black women saying, oh my God, this fed my soul. Oh my God, I feel empowered. I know now what to do. I know what my next steps are. I know how to replace my income. I know what to do about my retirement, my health insurance. I know about multiple streams of income, all these different things that they didn't know prior to coming into the summit. So those fears are, again, the fears are going to be there, right? But the fear level decrease when you understand, wait a minute, there's a way out, and there's a way out for me to do well. And you're able to turn down that anxiety, right? So Marissa made reference to this, and I just want to briefly talk about this. Biologically, what's happening in the brain for many of us is that we are in fear mode right now. So with all the stuff going on in the world, and just the thought of leaving a job creates a lot of fear. So when that happens, our amygdala in our brain is thinking we're in fight, flight, or freeze mode. So when we're in fight, flight, or freeze mode, everything else in our brain shuts down. So the prefrontal cortex, what we think organization, planning, all that stuff, that judgment is shut down, okay? So the fear is driving the train. So what we need to do is say, wait a minute, okay, I'm in a safer environment, the summit. I'm in a safer environment with other Black women. I can turn down that survival brain. So I'm able to receive this information, and I can plan and make steps, and my judgment is clear. So now I'm able to turn down the survival brain.
Right. Okay. That is so good. Yeah. And come on, amygdala. Come on. You know the terms.
That's shut down. Girl, you need to be quiet. I need to access my prefrontal cortex. Okay.
Yeah. Well, listen, sis, if your soul is screaming for something more, okay? I mean, they just gave you so much value just in that short period of time, right? And this time we spent together so far. So if your soul is screaming for more, if your body is tired of holding on to this toxicity, if your spirit is stretched, if you've been deferring your dreams, if you want to know what the power in the pivot is all about, right? If you want to join other women in sisterhood and come and congregate in a community that is, like Dr. Kamani said, a very healing space, then this is going to be your personal invitation to say yes, to say yes to not just the liberation, not just yes to us, yes to you. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Yes to you. Give yourself permission to feel liberated. Give yourself permission to feel liberated from the drama, the trauma, the karma that lingers in your life. Give yourself permission to break free from those golden handcuffs. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
The shackles that keep you feeling enslaved to the corporate plantation. Yes, I said
Mhm.
it. Okay. And
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
Okay. Free yourself from an incarcerated mind, because that's really where it begins, and
True.
allow us to pour into you and nourish your soul, right? In a way that you didn't even know you needed,
Yeah.
right? I want you to go to the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women. The registration, listen, I'm going to say this. You've missed the early bird pricing, but that doesn't matter because you still have an opportunity here, right? Because we are still in the phase of, we have open seats and we want you there in the virtual building, joining us and letting, what is it, 15 plus, 19 or 20 or so of us beautiful, Black, brilliant brains, right? That's going to
Mhm.
be pouring into you. And I am just so honored to be a part of this movement. And I don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. So
Mhm.
early bird pricing was through April 15th, but you still have the opportunity to get in the room, right?
Mhm.
This is a one of a kind, amazing, very unique experience. And as far as I'm concerned, it is the only virtual conference you will need this year when we're talking about how to pivot and power. Okay.
I agree.
So I want you to add whatever you want to add here, either Marissa or Dr. Kamani, but I just need the people to know to be in the
Yes.
room.
The doors to the church are open. Okay.
There you go.
Doors to the church are open. So I want to say a few things. I want to speak to some of the things that might keep Black women from coming to the summit. Because
Okay.
a lot of times we talk ourselves out of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think, wait a minute, I gotta pay for this. Yes, you have to pay for this because it's Black women who are coming together, brilliant Black women coming together, to share information with you. This is an investment. So sometimes
That's
we
right.
say, I don't have the money. Okay, sis, I want you to think about, are you really able to pull back from certain other areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eyelashes, hair, whatever, and invest in this because this is going to change your life. Okay.
Right.
Your eyelashes, not going to change your life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just think about that. The other thing, oh, I'm busy. I don't have time to come to the summit all 3 days. Okay, sis, it's recorded. It's recorded. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to stay sitting in front of your computer the whole 3 days. No, you don't have to do that. Okay.
Right.
So again, don't count yourself out. The third, I don't want people to know I'm coming to the summit because I don't want people in my business. Like we said before, none of the attendees will be seen on camera. Names won't be listed. So don't let those things that talk you out of it keep
Mm-hmm.
you staying in environments that are not to your benefit. And or if you've already been laid off from a job, don't let that keep you from being able to figure out your next steps. So you're staying in that fear mode. So you got to reject the why not and really
Mm-hmm.
sit with that and say, why am I so resistant to all this information being available to me from other Black women? Why am I so resistant to receiving information? Because you come into the summit, it's not anybody saying, okay, you came, that means you commit to leaving tomorrow or next week.
Right.
You coming is a way for you to call your own shots and you decide when you want to utilize information, but at least you have the information ready.
Mm-hmm. And what we got to do, stay ready so we don't have
Ready.
to, or right. That's exactly right. You
Stay
know it.
ready. Stay
That's right.
ready. Stay
That's right.
ready.
Did you have
Mhm.
something to say, Marissa?
I was going to say, I think being led by two Black women mental health professionals is what makes the summit different too, because we have that
Mhm.
understanding that sometimes change takes a little bit, right? But that's why we're providing you with the resources with the option for replay so that you can intake the information and absorb it on your own time. If
Mhm.
you're in toxicity and you don't really have the capacity to take it in, get the ticket with the replays, like the all access pass, so that you can absorb it slowly, right, over the year and still continue to make your exit plans, still go at a pace that feels right to you, but know that toxicity is not your only option. There are an infinite amount of options that you can go in, and despite the messaging that we receive, again, that we just have to stay and be grateful for whatever is given to us, we have all different ways that we can explore different options for income. Halisi will be talking about FIRE. So retiring early is an option, right? Resume revision. We have a speaker talking about that from Black on the Job. So we have like everything that you need in one place, and you
Mhm.
can take it at your own pace, right, on your own
Mhm.
timeline. And we recognize that sometimes it takes time to do this.
Yes. And Marissa,
Absolutely.
can you talk about the different tiers of tickets and the bonus sessions?
Yeah, so the Liberation Standard Pass provides you with access to all the live sessions on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as well as 3 days of replays on the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday following the summit. And the All Access Pass provides you with replays for the year. So if you need more time to absorb it, please get the All Access Pass, as well as 3 additional bonus sessions on Zoom, led by Dr. Roche, Jackie Abram, and Janice Sutherland. And you'll see here on the screen, yeah. So Get Your Money Right to Lead with Dr. Roche, Pivoting Jobs for Black Women 50 Plus with Janice Sutherland, and then Strategies to Help You Protect Your Career with Jackie. If you're still in the toxic work environment, how can you protect yourself, protect what you've built, which is very important so that they can't take that. And
Mhm.
that's what Jackie will be leading the 3rd bonus session on. But yes, those are the 2 ticket tiers that are available.
Okay.
And
And
the
did
bonus
either
sessions
of
are in the
the
evening. I just want to say that the bonus sessions are in the evening.
And the replays for those will be available as well if you can't attend
Mhm.
live.
and there's several speakers here. I mean, you all can just go to, the registration page and take a look for yourself, right? But as you can see on the screen here, I mean, we're having lots of conversation, right? And do either of you want to speak to really quickly just about, any particular session that might be, I mean, these are all going to be very valuable, right? It's going to be a value packed 3-day session, and then there's 3 additional bonuses, right? So I know I have on the screen here that the Job Liberation Summit is between May 16th and 18th, but then there are 3 additional days after that, right? With
Mhm.
Dr. Roche and a couple of the other ladies that you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So it kicks off with Stephanie Perry. So in terms of job detox, so again, getting our minds together. And then we have Rashida Dow talking about career breaks because many of us are exhausted. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we give ourselves permission to rest? We have the anti-HR lady talking about when you are in a job situation and you have a sense that it might be discriminatory or hostile, how to recognize those signs and possibly leave with your coins. Alicia Renice talking about how to reclaim our dreams. Because when you think about these oppressive environments, they beat us down so much, we lose sight of who we are as people, as
Right.
women, like our dreams, our joy. How do we reconnect to that? Also, Libria Jones is going to be talking about remote work. Krishan Wright from Black Sit Global is going to be talking about multiple streams of income. Kim with the Gems is going to be talking about how to monetize your talents and your gifts. Patrice is going to be talking about side hustles. It's so many of them.
Yeah.
Glamazine, how to
Mhm.
envision, right? How to envision the life that you want for yourself so you know how to move forward. I'm going to be doing an Afroflow yoga session with Antoinette. I'm in the process of becoming an Afroflow yoga teacher. So we're going to be going through an actual Afroflow yoga session. And
So
again,
looking forward to that.
yes.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder, the 3 bonus sessions are for us to financially get our act together. So that's day 1 of the bonus
Mhm.
session. Day 2 with Janice Sutherland is for Black women over 50, because what I've noticed is that 50 above, you're like, oh no, I got to stay until I retire. I just can't stay. I can't leave. No, we're going to talk about that, about options for leaving after 50. And then, Jackie, if you're still in that environment and you're being beat down, how do you kind of have some type of psychological armoring as you're still in that environment, so that you're able to kind of turn down the survival brain just a little bit, and what you do to survive in that environment until you can go. So as you're creating that exit plan, what are the things you can do? Now, I didn't cover all the speakers, but all the speakers are listed here on the screen. So, and they're all listed in the registration link. So check it out and get your ticket.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate you coming on my channel and having this discussion with more women. And like, let's just, keep spreading the word. Are there any parting words or thoughts or last minute, anything that you want to share before I let you go?
I
I
would
would
say,
just say
yeah.
for us to prioritize ourselves. What are you gonna say, Martha?
Yeah, I was going to say,
Absolutely.
like, no matter what stage of the process you're at. So if you're in like the pre-contemplation stage, like you're in the toxic environment, you may not even recognize that it's toxic, right? But it feels off. Something often feels off in our bodies when we're in these environments. We may be hearing like disrespect come towards us, and our bodies will react towards that. But we're taught that that's just normal. That's just part of being in the work environment. It's not, right? But you can be at any stage of the process. So if you're just now beginning to question, if you're in a toxic work environment, if you're already actively making your exit plan, if you need like the final parts of it to come together to finally make the exit day or plan your last day at that job, any stage of the process, or if you've already left and you're still healing from the aftermath, because we know the lingering effects of these traumatic work environments, they can last years, right, into the future.
Yeah.
So any stage of the process you're at, the summit is for you, and we'd love for you to attend.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies, so very much. I love it. I love it. I love it. We need y'all to show up and show off and show out. Okay. Come to the Job Liberation Summit. This year, this is the second annual workshop or summit that we're doing and that these ladies are putting on. They are pouring their heart and souls into this, this movement, and we want you to join and be a part of it. And so thank you so much for tuning in. If you're catching this on the replay, let us know, if you're going to be coming, all right, and go ahead and reserve your seat now, because you know how it is. We get busy the day to day, just hustle and grind, especially if you're working a job right now and you're all consumed with whatever's going on with life. I know how that goes, girl. We want to make sure that you're going to get your seat. So go ahead and reserve that right now as you're thinking about it, as you are hearing the sound of our voices, okay, so that you don't lose out on this wonderful, amazing opportunity. And so we are going to tune out while you tune in. Be sure to share this video out with at least 3 friends. Make sure you let your colleagues know, your associates, your acquaintances, your co-workers, your good girlfriends, your sister girls, somebody, anybody, everybody needs to be up in the virtual building, okay? And we can't wait to see you. As always, and until next time, we are wholeheartedly in this journey with you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hang tight.